I'm an associate research scholar in law at Yale Law School, where I direct the program for the study of reproductive justice. I'm testifying today in my personal capacity and do not purport to represent the institutional views of Yale Law School, of course. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. I'll make a few points here, and obviously I'm open for questioning. I don't want to repeat some of the important points that have already been made by the members. But I do want to point out a few things. First of all, this attack is part of a long campaign to discredit Planned Parenthood and other abortion providers. It is indeed an attack on the right to abortion. But Planned Parenthood has been a specific target of many of these types of attacks. And just since the year 2000, they've been the target of 9 similar smear campaigns using hidden videos or other recordings full of innuendo and false claims. Every single time, these allegations have been thoroughly investigated and debunked. Second, I'll make a quick comment on the videos. I'm very reluctant to rely on anything in these videos, given the findings of a team of forensic experts that's been submitted to this committee, which found that the tapes have been distorted and misleadingly edited and as a result have no evidentiary value. This has also been recognized in a report issued this morning by the House Committee on Energy and Commerce, which also found that there is no evidence that Planned Parenthood or its affiliates have violated any federal or state laws. And this is after conducting a thorough investigation, questioning witnesses, and reviewing documents. I can comment, however, on the statutes as issued. As has been pointed out, the federal tissue statute does ban the sale of fetal tissue, but it specifically allows those who donate tissue to recoup reasonable reimbursements for costs, such as the cost of maintaining, storing, and transporting fetal tissue. These fetal tissue provisions were adopted with broad bipartisan support, passing by a vote of 93-4 in the Senate, for example. And Planned Parenthood officials specifically state in the videos, in numerous statements that were edited out of the short videos that were put on the web, that they are only seeking reimbursement costs, that they do not make profits from fetal tissue donation, and in fact they refused contracts that were offered to them that offered unreasonable costs. There's simply nothing in the tapes that indicates a violation of the fetal tissue law. There are also these allegations that these misleadingly edited videotapes provide probable cause to believe that Planned Parenthood violates the Partial Birth Abortion Ban Act. Now, I'm intimately familiar with that act. I was lead counsel in the case challenging the act. The Supreme Court upheld the law over my objections and held that the law was narrowly interpreted to apply in situations to which intactness is completely irrelevant. So the allegations here are based mostly on repeated statements of the word intact in a sort of ominous manner, the word being repeated both by interviewees and interviewers, kind of law and order style in the videos. But intactness has no relevance. It's neither sufficient nor is it perhaps even required to establish a violation of the act. Instead, all that matters under the statute is whether at the outset of the procedure the physician had the intent to do 2 things: vaginally deliver a living fetus up to certain anatomical landmarks, and then, second, perform a step to cause fetal demise at that point. Now, the reason it was so limited was because interpreting it more broadly would have applied to many abortion procedures. And I'm not surprised that there's so much confusion about this partial birth abortion statute, because it was deceptively campaigned for in this Congress and to this Congress, and people were convinced it had something to do with banning late-term, post-viability abortions, to which it doesn't apply whatsoever. So again, there's no evidence that physicians at Planned Parenthood perform procedures in a way outlawed by the Act. Now, also, there are a number of questions that have been raised generally about the ethics of fetal tissue donation. When similar issues were raised during the Reagan administration, the National Institutes of Health convened a research panel of ethicists and scientists, those on both sides of the abortion issue. As Mr. Bob stated, he in fact was on that panel. It was also chaired by a former judge who was himself anti-abortion. And a decisive majority of that panel found that fetal tissue research was morally desirable because it held great medical promise and could be accomplished without incentivizing abortions in any way. And in fact, it has done so, and many advances, medical advances, have come from that research. I see that my time is almost done. So I want to skip to what I think is the really horrifying thing about this hearing. The horrifying thing here is the mismatch between the allegations and concerns here about abortion, about fetal tissue research, and what is being considered, which is defunding Planned Parenthood's non-abortion related services. As Judge Kavanaugh of the D.C. Circuit explained recently in his dissent from the denial of rehearing en banc in Priests for Life, providing seamless access to contraceptives, which is a large portion of what Planned Parenthood does, reduces the number of unintended pregnancies. It furthers women's health. It advances women's personal and professional opportunities, reduces the number of abortions, and helps break a cycle of poverty. So the horrible irony here is that defunding Planned Parenthood would reduce, would rather increase the number of unintended pregnancies and drastically, I fear, increase the number of abortions that are necessary in this country. Thank you.